Let's talk recall. Patients recall if you happen to be a dentist or any other type of doctor who needs to be recalling patients. But, Mr. Dentist, you know very well that in your charts, depends on how long and how you're in practice, depends on how big your practice is, in the thousands of charts which you have laying there, there is literally millions of dollars laying in there. You will never get all of them. I'm not 100% type of guy. I don't believe in it. And even if I would believe in it, I cannot do it. I've never managed. But you have lots of money laying there on the table. You know very well, if your patients would more or less, just slightly more or less, come back for the service they need, for the service they have in their mouth, you would be making money. For some dentists, if they just would come back and do their $1,000 insurance a year they're getting or some such number, just for that alone, many of you, not all, would be very happy and increasing drastically. So what about if they then, however, do above and beyond that $1,000 insurance, because they do fix that one extra root canal, that 1/4 of periodontal disease? You know very well that, I don't know how it is in your practice, but in general around the United States, around the world actually, I have noticed that more than 50% or at least 50% or close to that, anyway, run around with periodontal disease, which should be done, but is not done. It's a selling matter, it's a case acceptance matter, but it's also a matter of returning, because as more often that you can tell a person something, as more likely eventually you will have to change. It's like, I don't know, but you remember probably your mom and your father having told you certain things many times. And because they cared about us, they didn't give up, We didn't call it them caring and not giving up. We called it them being pestering us. But one has nothing to do with the other, okay? So what about if I tell you that in 30 years consulting, which we do now, 30 years plus actually, plus, 32, 3, 4 years, 1989, 1990, we kind of started. So recalling patients, getting them more in, by doing so also improving the referral business drastically, I might add. And by doing so, improving case acceptance drastically, as I just mentioned a second ago, because if you can tell people over and over again something they kind of should do, eventually it clicks with them. They heard something outside, they watch the video and they go, yeah, it's kind of true. And then you again say it again. But getting them in is a big problem for almost all dentists across the country, and was 30 years ago. Creating enormously more money, almost doubling a practice with only recall alone, is what we have done already 30 years ago. In fact, 30 years ago, my main program was recall and patients referral. It wasn't new patients marketing, even though we did it and we became pretty damn freaking good at it. Patients recall and referral, because it kind of goes a little bit hand in hand. Now, one of the very big problems with patients recall with all the doctors was that first of all, number one, they never really did it. And they never did really sending emails, sending fax, sending whatever in the old days was done, and surely not making phone calls. Today, they try to send emails and messages and recall texts and whatever. And the stuff, probably works better than doing nothing, but it just simply doesn't move the dial. It just doesn't move the dial. No, the truth of the matter is, as more as we get automatized, as more as we get into the internet, as more as we get completely digitalized, as more the human voice still counts, as better it will work. It's almost Back to the Future or something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, doctors, let me tell you something. The biggest problem was with, if you have your own staff doing it, you probably noticed one thing. They will say we're doing it. And if you really count and really check, they're making a few calls a day at the best. There's always other things in the practice which needs to be done. This never gets done. If a doctor doesn't have a fixed and stable crew, and I said crew, I didn't say person. Well, if you're a small practice, a person is probably enough, maybe, okay? It won't happen. Of course, we also want to use new technology of WhatsApp and texting and emailing and or name it. Of course. But it got to start and end with actual phone calls. They work like a bomb. Phone calls which follow up on a particular text, or a text which gets put after the phone call and then a phone call again. The problem with this was original staff is never doing it. Never, never, never for all purposes. I'm sure you can make comments below and say, no, my staff does it. Great and congratulations and wonderful. Wonderful. Most of the time it's not happening. The second, hiring people. Those people turn over left and right like there is no tomorrow. And you, being a doctor, not a guy who runs a telemarketing shop, you don't like that. So you very soon give up. B, those people cost a fortune. You need to have a chair for them. You need to have a computer for them, a telephone, of course, a space. They can't just sit around the reception because they're making too much noise with their talking, with patients coming in and the receptionists stay on the telephone. They need to have a room. And on top of it, they need to work hours. Your office most likely is closed. They need to work till 8, 9 o'clock at night. They need to work on Saturdays. They need to work on Sundays. Certain times, very not doable. Not even yet counting their high salary. So we have a high turnover, need space, need money, need computer, need them working in times your office is not open, so somehow they need to have access to it, blah, blah, blah. All of it makes it not doable. The salary alone. So what about if you can put the space, the hours, and the computer, a complete no-no, and the money the people cost, okay? And the money the people cost, you can make it a fraction. What do I mean by a fraction? I don't know. A quarter. So what about if with tax or with whatever, whichever way, it costs you $20 now and then it costs you only $5 an hour? No, what would that do to you? Not counting that you not need a space, that you not need a computer, that you not need a telephone, and that you can have them working at any given hour because of the flexibility when you need it, that you can have 3, 4 people easily working, not necessarily full time, but fitting the hours, and that you have somebody who trains those people and replaces them more or less within relative short time if somebody quits, because also those people who work for cheap, they do quit, but on an average, better and more lasting than the other ones because they still need the money. I don't know whether you notice, but it looks like here in the good old beautiful United States, which I love, and Europe, my home country, it's worse. It's much worse. People don't really want to work anymore too much and too long and kind of things. And why should they work as a recaller, telemarketer, whatever you want to give that name for you, when the government more or less almost gives them the same money for staying at home? Ladies and gentlemen, doctors. My name is Helmut Flasch and I consult doctors for 30 and plus years. This program I'm now telling you, without, of course, the workers from literally other countries and other things and being cheap, was the main program I started my consulting. And I help doctors doubling and tripling their practice with just that alone. With that program, of course, there goes a hugely increased referral system. And with that program, there goes a hugely increased, and forget the word hugely, let me a little bit non-exaggerate, a increased patient's referral and an increased case acceptance. And you put all of them together with the core one being the recall. Let me tell you something. Doubling and tripling your business is completely and utterly in reach within a year. And I don't care how big your practice right now is, more or less. I mean, there could be problems such as you're totally full and you would have to completely move to accept another patient. And in that case, it might take a little longer because you have to, get a whole new setup. But for the average person, the average dental office I have worked with in 30 some years, they can always double or triple their practice with the existing physical space. In many cases, even with the existing physical doctors. And that spells money. That spells enormous money in the pocket. Give us a call. Because even if you spend 100 times with a guy like me for 1 hour trying to find the right guy, and you find him only after 100 hours, it will probably be one of your best time investments you have ever made. And if you don't go with our program, if you for some reason find it just simply isn't for you, for whatever reason, you will still cherish, I know so, the information you're going to get from us. You will actually love it, and it will linger with you for long forever. to come, and you will, when you see and hear about other things out there, you'll go, this is what Mr. Flash was talking about. I got it. Then you will be going more into the right direction. No different than we do with your patients who come in. We even if they don't come in, we kind of like again remind them of like, yeah, I know I should do something with my teeth, blah, blah, blah. All right, doctor, give us a call. Talk to me. Talk to me. I will figure out whether I can help you. If I can help you, I'll do everything to get you on the program, of course, because without getting on the program, just like a guy who has periodontal disease, without sitting in a chair and getting operated, it just won't get better, period. And you probably have noticed most of your patients, when they walk away from you, for whatever reason they give you, oh, doctor, thank you, or this, or go, oh my God, I understand it, yes, and I definitely will want to do it, just not now. You know they 99% never come back, and they don't do it somewhere else either, because if ever they come back for a lesser work, for another cleaning, for another whatever, in a year or two or whatever it is, they still have that condition and they still don't do it. So they are usually not doing it, and so is it with doctors. But if that is not the case, if you don't do it, then you will at least have learned, because there has to be a two-way road. We need to see whether we can help you. And yes, you need to believe that we can help you. There's no other way around it. And if we do a normal good job, you'll go, oh my God, that is really something I want to do. And it doesn't mean that we are not very good with the same kind of, help more or less, and or can extend the program a little bit in the new patient and full problem practice management, which is phenomenal. All right, give us a call. Bye-bye.